What up, world? My name is Timothy DeJesus.
Hi everyone, Aldric here.
Hello folks, it's Kevin Kwok here.
Hi, this is Jeremey Sea. I just wanted to say this about bottoms-up perspectives. It's about real lives, real journeys, and real perspectives.
The whole idea behind bottoms-up perspective was from the word kampai, or in Asian culture, oftentimes we drink until the bottom of our cup is empty and we turn it over. So it's very much like just cheers, right? And building relationship. And that's what we're all about, is building authentic, solid relationships on a global level and being able to see things from a global perspective.
And no, we're not Alcoholics Anonymous.
We are here to be the voice of everyone.
I love the idea that we're real people and we get to share our experiences with real people just like you.
So we look forward to having you join us. What's going on, LinkedIn and YouTube, and Facebook. So we're everywhere tonight. So wanted to just say hi to everyone and thanks for hopping on Bottoms Up Perspective. And it's episode 28, correct?
Yep. Who's counting?
Yep. So we could talk about the AM and routines and habits. And today we have our special guest, Candice Kingston. So why don't we have you introduce yourself before we start? Kind of give us an elevator pitch about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name is Candice Kingston, and my business is called Kingston Coaching. I am located in Denver, Colorado, married 20 years, just celebrated 20 years, have three teenage boys. So we made it with 3 teenage boys. One just moved out, so that's helped.
We needed you on the parenting episode.
Oh, Lord. We started. Yeah. But yeah, I've had my business about 5 years, and I work with small business owners who are struggling with business issues. I try not to say this too much, but I'm a life coach for business owners. So it's really all areas of your life that get affected and impacted by, whatever's going on in your business. And so I like to help business owners become better leaders of themselves so that they can lead others. And sometimes that means their team, sometimes that means freelancers, maybe their family, whatever it is, but how are they showing up in the world, and trying to kind of increase that level of consciousness and awareness so that they're showing up better and more effectively in their lives.
That's awesome.
Cool.
I want to just say good morning, Jacqueline. Thanks for joining us. That's awesome. So why don't we start?
Yep.
Let's start with, do you have a morning routine and what is it, right? So we usually go round table.
Yeah.
We always start with Jeremy for some reason. So why don't you take it off, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'll go. Has it become a rule already?
Yes, it has.
That's okay. Yeah, it's actually always an advantage to go first, because then I can speak whatever I like, and then you guys cannot repeat after me, right? So I see it as an advantage. I don't really have a routine. That's the problem. The only routine I have throughout the week really is Thursday, where I wake up, get my daughter up the bus, get my son up the school bus, and then I anticipate for the live chat, which is this. The rest of the week is pretty much the same thing. My morning starts early wee hours, right? Right after midnight, that's the morning already, and I don't usually sleep till like 1, 2 plus a.m. Doing anything from watching YouTube videos to watching a movie, whatever, playing games, whatever. Yeah. Work maybe sometimes if I have to put in time to rush out some stuff. So my morning starts, and then once the clock hits 12 midnight, and after I go to bed 4 or 5 hours, I have to be up at about 6-ish, 6:10, 6:15. My wife wakes up earlier than me. She gets up about 5 to fix my daughter's breakfast, etc. And I need to see my daughter up the school bus at about 6:15. After that, I come back. I don't know. Sometimes I crawl back into bed, and then I wait for my son to be up at about 6:45. I shower him and put him on a bus 7:15, and that's pretty much it. I either get into work, go for breakfast, sometimes help my wife go to the market to do some grocery shopping, and then the day starts. And yeah, that's more or less it for morning routines.
So you guys do groceries before work?
Well, because I'm working from home, so every Tuesdays my wife would go to the market to do grocery shopping. Usually it's quite a heavy load, so sometimes she asks me to just go and be that mule to carry the stuff and yeah, help her with the load a bit because it's really heavy stuff. And weekends. Oh, I do have a sort of routine. Ironically, on weekends, on Saturday, wake up and then I go to pick up my dad's car before I ferry my son to swim lessons, and then back. And then it's about getting lunch, and sometimes in the afternoon, they have classes like tennis, that kind of thing. And Sunday as well, some classes sometimes. So it's that kind of Sunday mornings are okay. I don't have a routine on Sunday morning, just chill day. Only Saturday then. Yeah. So Saturdays and Thursdays are my more routine days. The rest of the week really is anything goes.
Awesome.
I think there's a routine in there a little bit. Well, we can talk about when it's my turn.
Yeah.
Aldric, you want to go?
Okay.
My routine can be a little. It's confusing in a way that there's flexibility in the structure. So by and large, the kind of things that I do are pretty standard. So when I'm up, I'll check my phone for emails, reply those quick ones first, just to get my mind up and running. Then I'll do distribution of our YouTube assets for BUP if I can, and write a simple post and things like that. Get things started before I actually put my legs off the bed. So the moment I hop off, I'm ready to go. Then I like to go, because now most of us are working from home. So I like to go straight to my working desk first. I pull out my post-it notes and quickly scribble down every single thought that I have at the back of my mind before they actually disappear. And I'll power on the laptop before I go for my walk in the morning. I like to do morning walks, just about 3 rounds around the neighborhood and vicinity, because it just wakes me up. And I like to walk fast. Sunbathing is one thing, and the other thing is really just to get the heart rate up. So just to feel good, have a deep breath. When I'm done, I go back to my apartment. I take the lift to the highest level, and I take a bird's eye view of how it looks like. And I feel like, at the top of the world, capture that very good feeling. I get back to my place and I start working. And a cup of coffee. That's for sure.
Number one.
So a cup of coffee as I work, and then that will be it. That's the structural element, but that's the flexibility element in terms of time, because I'm a little flexible in terms of time, the time where I wake up and the time where I start doing things, because I think being fresh is very important. So there are days where I sleep a little bit more, and there are days where I will just sleep a little less. So that's the flexibility. That's my morning.
Aldric, my question is, when do you sleep? I catch you throughout the entire spectrum of the hours. So when does your morning really start? U.S. morning or Singapore morning?
Before I sleep, it will be SGT morning. That will be, I'll sleep around 1:30 my time. 1:30 my time. I'll wake up in the range of 5:30 to 6 or 6:30. Yep.
Aldric, one more question for you. When you're on top of the building, taking your bird's eye view, right? Do you do that Leonardo DiCaprio Titanic thing? I am the king of the world.
I try to anchor that in.
Okay.
I try to anchor that in a way of just scaling up the way I think about my work and my things, because I think sometimes it's really the mental exercise that matters. So
Yeah.
it's like whenever I find myself caught into this paradigm where I want to own an apartment unit in a condominium, I will always tell myself, no, that's the wrong thing to do. Own the entire building.
Awesome.
And when I am caught in the building paradigm, I tell myself, no, that's the wrong thing to do. I should own the land title. So that view on top is really just to tell myself, hey, look far, look beyond, and don't keep thinking about the work day on day. That's why I think it's very important to start the day excited. Just
Don't look at the tree, right? Look at the entire forest.
So just want to shout out. Just want to shout out to Jeanette, Ashish, Abby, Kyle. Looks like a lot of people have hopped on, so just want to say hi to everyone and thanks for all the positivity. And glad you're a part of our show today. And feel free, anytime, if the audience, you guys have any question for any of us, love to answer. Even like, hey, what's your favorite coffee? That's cool too, right? Timothy, you want to go?
Yeah, my routine is actually fairly simple. I kind of half listed on LinkedIn already to promote the show. You know.
Yeah, you'll go on TikTok and then you'll go on LinkedIn. And then you reply all the comments.
No, LinkedIn is first. LinkedIn is first. You know, hey, I'm proud of what I'm building on TikTok, though. I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, no, we're not here to talk about that, Aldric. Anyway, my morning routine is fairly simple. I usually have coffee in the morning. Almost as soon as I wake up, I'll grab my phone, I'll check LinkedIn, check my notifications, and that's usually when I try to post. It's first thing in the morning, and it depends on what the content is. It might be about something that happened in my day previously, might be about something I see when I'm scrolling my feed, but I tend to find that it's easiest to do it when it's quiet versus when I get in the middle of my day, because once my day starts, I'm off and running. So that's why I try to do my posts first thing in the morning, do my support of everybody's content first thing in the morning, because, you know, once my day is off, it's off. And, you know, there's no logging into LinkedIn and trying to get anything accomplished. The other thing I try to do in the morning, always, is have breakfast. Because I know some people can do without breakfast. I'm not one of those people. So if I don't have breakfast and coffee, I can be a cranky type person. And my whole day can get wrecked. Not the whole day, but, you know, my morning can get kind of wrecked if I throw off my routine. So, you know, I try to have coffee, breakfast, LinkedIn. When I accomplish those three things, then I might jump on TikTok, Aldric.
You got to get your serious stuff done first before acting silly and being an idiot on TikTok, right?
That's right. So, but yeah, that's kind of my routine. But it works for me personally. It kind of keeps me focused, keeps me on path, and then, you know, once my routine is done, then all bets are off. Whatever I have to do is what I have to do.
Tim, do you have insomnia?
It's a great question.
I think you do, right? You have irregular sleep patterns. I'm starting to realize that.
Yes. I think I just don't require a lot of sleep is my thing. So, like, example, last night I got about 4 hours, and I mean, I was off to the races when I woke up this morning. Ooh. So I just don't. I think I just don't require a lot of sleep. It's just, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't think it's insomnia because I love sleep and I can sleep, but, you know, if I don't get a lot of it, I'm okay. That's a good question. Fair question.
Candice.
I'm just taking some notes as I'm listening to all of you because this is great stuff. All right. So I do have a morning routine, but I'm the first to admit that I'm not perfect at this. I am a coach. I work with people on their routines. I help people all the time. That does not make me perfect, nor should you believe that any other coach telling you that they are perfect at their routine is perfect. Okay, so let's just be fair. I do try to stick with this, and I think it was Aldric who said he has this flexibility. Like, yeah, if you sleep in a little bit, so what? You can still do your morning routine. You can still go for your walk. You can still have your coffee. There might be a shortened version, or maybe you skip part of it that day or something like that. The idea, though, is to anchor your day with this this strategy that helps stave off stress. So later in the day, you've already done these things that have grounded you and cleared your mind and had a quiet time and let good thoughts come in, and maybe let creative thoughts come in, and maybe let no thoughts come in. And you had that time to yourself. Jeremy, I was where you were. I mean, this pandemic has quietened down the whole run around the kids thing for us. But definitely, I used to live my life by swim team and water polo and take this kid. And then we had 3 different schools that they were all going to. And so there was like the morning drive. I didn't do any of this stuff back then. And so, there's a time in life for everything. You really have to do what works for you. Some people want to get up before their kids and have their quiet time or their tea or their coffee or whatever before the kids even get up. That's definitely my ideal situation, and that's how I do it now, but it hasn't always been that way. So you really just have to have some grace for yourself and some compassion in what it is that you're fitting into your life. So to my morning routine, I wake up, again, ideally like 5:30. Doesn't always work, especially with my husband working from home. Obviously, I'm working from home. But the kind of meditation I do allows you to meditate from wherever. And so sometimes I'll get up and go sit by myself in the living room on the couch and meditate. The problem with that is my dog thinks it's time to eat. And so he bugs me the whole time I'm meditating. So again, you have to figure out what works for you and, find a place for that. So sometimes I just sit up in my bed, and I mean, I don't know. I invited him to this. I don't know if he's on, but my husband snores. So that's a little hard to meditate when your husband's snoring. But anyway, I'm getting really honest now.
That's awesome.
I snore, so it's okay. I snore.
I think your husband was on. Now he's off.
Sorry, honey. Anyway, most husbands snore. Yeah, sometimes that rhythm helps me quite.
It's redundant, right? Even the snoring.
White noise.
White noise, yeah.
White noise.
So anyway, I meditate for about 20 minutes, and then I will get up, go downstairs. That's where I keep my journal, which is a gratitude journal and sort of my planner. More like a goal setting planner. I don't use it like a calendar necessarily. I use it more like, what's the date? 3 months from now, I want to have this goal. So I use it as a goal setting tracker too. So I sit down with that and I write out a gratitude journal. And I use about a page. Now we're on a topic about snoring. Yeah. I fill out about a page. I mean, it's not a big page, but a page with my gratitudes. And I used to do just a list of like 10 things, like 10 things I'm happy for. My dog, my coffee, happy she's not mad that I'm not feeding her, whatever, like silly little things. Now I really try to get into the feeling of the gratitude. And I find that to be a lot more helpful for me to sort of journal about the gratitude, if that makes sense. So kind of a diary. I mean, not to sound like a teenage girl, but like, I'm so grateful that Will is doing well in college, and I'm just so happy. And I really feel that feeling. What does that feel like? Just so relieved that he's doing well and finding friends and having a great time and all of those things, staying safe and not being sick and all of those, like, just really feel it and kind of not cry, but like kind of, right? Like really feel how grateful you are, because that's where gratitude can help fill you up and help bring that happiness and joy to you throughout the day. So again, that's like a way that you fill up your bucket in the morning so that throughout the day, it's not like you're, maybe you get a bill in the mail and you're not going to be like, oh, but Will's happy at college. But it's like, no, you just have that feeling you're sort of flying on, right? Okay, so that's one thing. So I write my gratitudes. And again, I don't spend a ton of time, but I just go deep on one or two. And then I usually do, like visualization and goal setting. So I'll just close my eyes for a few minutes. This is separate than a meditation. Really not very long, but I just think about, where do I want to be? Where am I going? Where am I headed? Where is that? I won't say end place, but what am I headed for, right? And then how am I doing with that? And I'll usually, in that planner, I have my goals set out. So I'll go back and look at the goals and just be reminded of them. And sometimes maybe it's been a few days because I've not necessarily been so good at my routine. So I'll go back, check in on those goals, see how things are going. Like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be posting on LinkedIn every day. I've skipped a couple days, or whatever it is. I'm getting off track from that. I'm going to get back to it. And then I'll do, sometimes I'll do some journaling, not always. I'm not a huge journaler, but if I have an issue that I'm having a hard time with, I'm obviously a good talker, like a big talker, so I'm just rambling away. But so I do like to process through talking, which my husband will also attest to. He's here, he'll start to chime in. But when he's not snoring, no, I'm just kidding. But I also process through journaling, and I had an issue where I was kind of upset about something. I don't even remember what it was now, but I just sat down and started writing about it. Like, why is this upsetting me? Why am I getting triggered by this thing going on? Hi, Laura. Thanks for jumping on. Yeah, so like I'll get triggered by something and upset by something, but if I write about it and keep questioning myself, being curious, like, why is that coming up for me? Why is that coming up for me? Right? And like keep questioning, I'll come to the answer. And I have to apologize, guys. I know we're recording this, but I don't know how to turn off notifications. So hopefully nobody will call me, and hopefully, I don't know if you have any ideas, but I'm just going to announce that ahead of time. I will, I promise I'll try to be quick about it. Okay.
Don't worry about it.
We're good. So.
And there might be a kid walk by and going to the shower. You never know. So, anyway, so that's kind of it. I mean, I think, the last thing I do on a good day, again, like when I have the full morning going on, is I'll do some quick affirmations and really just maybe say something like, everything is always working out for me, or some kind of little mantra that I'll sing around the house while I'm making my coffee, just to kind of get myself in a good mood and like build myself up a little bit for that day. So all of the purpose for me is all about, how can I set up the best day possible? If I roll out of bed and I roll out on the wrong side of the bed and I'm in a grouchy mood, I can pull myself back going through these motions and through this strategy. I can get into a good mood. I can make myself be happy. I know that. It all comes from within. I might have some awkward circumstances going on around me. I might be wearing a mask or whatever, but I can bring that happiness from somewhere and I can find it. And it's really what it's all about for me. So I will leave it at that for now.
That's awesome. So
yeah, I have to say, Candice, I appreciate people who have like that thorough of a morning routine, because I can't get anywhere near that. Like I said, I got coffee, LinkedIn, breakfast. Beyond that, there is nothing. I'm off to the races. I admire that you have that thorough morning routine.
And I have to say, because I really want to be clear, first of all, I work for myself. I work from home. I do have flexibility that if my husband and I, during the pandemic, we started getting up at 5 every morning and working out together, which great. That was awesome. But it totally threw off my morning routine. I didn't do those things at that time. But I also knew that if I didn't keep going, everything would be out the window. So I would work out with him, shower, maybe not, whatever, had nowhere to go, sit down and do my meditation. He would go do his work and have breakfast or something, and I would come up to our bedroom and just have that quiet time to do my journal, my goal setting, all of that. So it was out of order, but it still worked. Sometimes I don't do the goal setting in the morning and I'll do it before I go to bed. Sometimes I'll do the gratitude while I'm on my walk. I just make it work. I'm not rigid about it, because if I were, I don't have 4 hours to devote to my morning. Like, let's be clear. It's not, nobody does. And I don't want it to feel that way, that people are like, well, I can't do it because I don't have 8 hours to meditate. Or what, you can meditate for 3 minutes. You can write 2 things down, right? You don't have to make it super long. But you also don't have to make it super complex. If that works for you and you like that routine, go for it. I think that's awesome. It's all about catering it to what you want and what works for you. I'm a big believer in that.
I think it's funny, Candice, you said earlier that a kid might walk by. So we've been doing our children's doing virtual classes at home.
Yeah.
And the teacher sent an email to all the parents and said, hey, parents, make sure you keep all your clothes on. So apparently there must be some parent that was naked walking through the virtual call.
Can you imagine that poor kid? Mortified.
So the school had to send an email to all the parents during virtual classes. Make sure parents watch your language and make sure you're clothed. So I was like, well, did someone just walk by naked?
I did walk through the door, and they wear clothes when they go. So you won't be shocked.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, so regards to my morning routine, so I'm a person of habit. So used to, I drive to the office for almost probably, over a decade, right? I usually commute to work. So now I'm at home. So I usually wake up as soon as the sun comes out, because somehow any kind of light wakes me up. So back in the days, I would have like these black dark out curtains, but I don't at my new house. So I just naturally wake up around 7 a.m. And so used to, I look at my phone right away. So it's something I am breaking the habit of because of, listening to a variety of life coaches, success coaches, and different things. And the first thing when you wake up, should be about you and not the internet. So I've been correcting myself where now I try my best, just like Candice, Tim, Aldric, Jeremy, like I try my best, right? It doesn't always happen, but I try to not look at my phone. And now we got a puppy, so it helps a little bit because it's barking. Then I try to help. If I can't get my wife Jennifer to do it, then I have to take him out, feed him. But I usually wake up around 7. I like to have a cup of black coffee. And then I would do my, I try to go downstairs to, now I have a gym at home where I just work out from home. But I do pretty much the same thing daily. And while I have my coffee, I usually sit outside. Right now it's still warm and it's the summer. And I try to just look at greenery and, just overall, maybe talk to God, just spend some quiet time, right? Before I go grab my phone. And usually then my dog's eating, doing whatever, right? Before I try to eat breakfast with my family, with my kids, and we have our coffee. Kids they wake up around probably a little later than me, probably 7:38. But now I'm intermediate fasting, so I'm skipping the whole breakfast deal. So pretty much I drink my coffee and then go straight to working out, and then I would start my day in my office around 8:30. Usually people start texting me, Skyping me, Instagram DMing me. So they have multiple ways of getting a hold of me. So usually Slack is usually pretty busy by then, Trello. So then I start going through my thing. But it has really helped me by putting myself first. I noticed in the past I did just that. I went straight to every email I would freak out, oh, I got to respond, in business is all about response rate, right? Or, oh, my staff members, employees, oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, let's figure out how to help them. And I started catching myself where it was kind of draining. And then I wasn't too excited. Like, I start my day usually putting out fires instead of getting my mind right, right? So, and then I notice I am so drained by lunchtime because now I've done like 5,000 things before even noon, and then when I was at my office, I probably drank already 10 cups of coffee by noon, but now I'm learning, hey, if I give time to myself and things can wait, it's still gonna be there. And I start just not looking at social media in the mornings as much too, and just try to fill my head with positivity and just I think it's so important to just take control.
Yeah.
And take your thoughts captive right in the beginning when you wake up. Because if you don't do that, I think later on it's very easy to allow other things to keep you captive. So I've been trying to correct that habit, and I am seeing a huge difference in just the way my performance, happiness overall, better parent, because now I'm like, hey, I'm not putting things outside of my home first, but I'm focusing on them first. And then, hey, work can wait. Work is work, right? Only if it's like an emergency, then of course I'm going to be there, but those don't happen like every single second of the day. So that's kind of me. And I think working out has really helped me too, making sure that I start my day off, because what happens, I'm learning, I always tell myself after work, I'll work out, but it never happens because I'm usually so tired. I either fall asleep on the couch or I end up eating dinner and then snacking. And then it's like, I already messed up for the day, so let's not work out. So I try to prioritize me, like self-care first, and then do the rest. So that's my morning. Yep. So,
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
Cool. So I think this leads to my second question. Why do you feel morning is critical for success? So a lot of experts out there you see on LinkedIn, they all talk about some people talk about the 4 a.m. routine. And, I couldn't do that because I'm like Aldric. Sometimes I'm up in 10 till like probably 1 a.m., 2 a.m. So, yeah.
Start with me again.
Go
Sure.
for it, Jeremy.
I can't answer this because I don't think I'm successful just because how messed up my mornings are. Or maybe that's the way to answer it. I am not successful. That's why, because my morning's messed up. So why is it important? Obviously it's important. If you don't want to be unsuccessful like me, get your mornings in order. Okay, that's my answer.
I don't think that's the question, Jeremy.
No, because the question's loaded, right? It assumes that you're successful. So I'm saying no, I'm not successful. So anyway, okay. Do I feel? Hi, Kelsey. Feel morning is critical for success. I think there's like a Chinese saying, right? How does it go? You plan for the year in spring, and then you plan for the day in the morning. I forgot. It eludes me the actual Chinese saying, but I'm not gonna use it on the show right now. So it's like ancient wisdom, right? You plan for the entire year in spring, and then you plan for the entire day in the morning. Makes sense, right? And I think hearing from what all you guys have said, that's why I have that revelation that I think probably I'm not that successful, because you all have a common theme in your morning routines. I've listened, I'm listening, I'm assessing. So I think you all start with self-care, think about yourself. But for me, it's just random thoughts, right? If you heard how I talked about my routine, it's about other people, and sometimes I get off bed on the right side and be slightly happier. Sometimes the negative side. and the rest of the family members might get a brunt of it, maybe because of lack of sleep and all that. So I think it's really a bit more for reflection for myself. I probably need some of this visualization thing to help in the day, because it's usually I wake up and send my daughter here and my son there. So I don't think that's working out well. I can still go on like that, but it's kind of like zombie. So yeah, I do think, based on what I've heard from all you guys, I think it's critical. It's important because I think mornings are when things are quiet and you can really sit down and think about things, which I don't do enough. So I feel it's critical because of that. You get that time to reset or calibrate yourself for the rest of the day, which I don't usually do, which is why I think that's why I'm kind of in a mess. So yeah, that's my frank opinion.
Thanks for your honesty, Jeremy.
Yeah, no problem.
He always brings you up. I love it.
I try to be honest. Go ahead, guys.
Aldric?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think that morning is critical, and it's important to set ourselves up for a productive day. I don't want to define success in a way that is grandiose, but let's just say keep the day productive and good. I like to do things like I scribble down the kind of tasks that I need to do, those things that I want to accomplish for the day and things like that. And I make sure that I do not get demotivated by my to-do list, emails, and comments, because I don't know if that applies to all of you, but for me, when the line items in terms of tasks starts piling up, I go in the reverse direction. I feel very demotivated, and immediately I just want to go for a swim or a run, and I don't even want to power on my laptop. So what I do is I list down everything that I want to do, and I will slice them into various, let's say, post-it notes or different sheets of paper or reminders, and I will only focus on a portion of them, one at a time. So I don't get demotivated by the huge stack of work that I have to do. And I think that's very important for cranking up for a very productive morning. Because I can be susceptible to emotions that I can't control. I can be very deflated when there's a lot of things to do, or when some milestones are missed, or when for some reason emergency hijacked, and then I can't focus on what I have to do. So that's what I do every morning. Of course, before that, the mindset must be right. I must put myself in the right mindset, and then I look at what I have to do, not allowing the work to demotivate me. And when it comes to routine, I don't focus on it. I should say it this way. I do not focus on life routines at the very beginning of my day, because I realize that what I focus in the morning sets my day. So for instance, if you start playing your video games the moment you wake up, the entire day you will only want to play video games.
That's true.
If I start my day going through financial news, the entire day I'll be in my investor or trading mindset. I'll be like, oh, there's this happening. Oh, there's that happening. So I realized that my first couple of hours, waking hours, is very important. I just have to put myself there. And then when it comes to routine in life, I live it to a point where I'm tired with my work. Then I'll go. So for instance, grocery shopping, when I'm tired of work for the first 3 hours or 4 hours, okay, I'll take 30 minutes, just go down, do my groceries. Mind-numbing, find some stuff, buy, and get back. That's how I approach exercise too, Kevin. I will go swim when I'm tired. I don't swim when I'm alert.
Aldric, and I found you have a new thing in the morning. You look at snails.
Well, that's part of gratitude.
See, I read your posts.
Everyone has been commenting on the snail part. I was like, okay, yeah, sure.
So my question is, did you pull its shell off?
Oh no, I don't.
Okay.
It's just one thing lead to the other. So I was looking at it. So I don't know if Candice noticed that, but I did a post about snail. It didn't go too well, but anyway. And then I was thinking that, oh, if I remove the snail, will the snail actually be crawling faster? And then I realized that it's not the case. So stop being so presumptuous about things. You know, sometimes you want to push people for their own good, but maybe if they don't want it, then don't do it. Then I'm just pushing against the wall. I don't want to do that. So one thing leads to the other, and it's just a reflection exercise in the morning. Yeah.
Awesome.
What about snails, Kevin? Come on.
So I think we'll probably have a common theme, all of us. And I think morning is critical because morning can absolutely ruin your day if you let it.
Yeah.
So I think we probably all have a common theme there, and that's why it's critical. You know, it's funny, Aldric mentioned comments on LinkedIn, and at a certain point, it was, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, I actually realized I stopped responding to comments because I would be taking an hour of my morning responding to comments on LinkedIn. And I know it's part of LinkedIn culture to respond to comments, but if somebody asks me a question or something, I'll DM them. But I was spending a good hour every morning just trying to respond to every single comment. And it was, as you said, Aldric, it was demotivating. I was like, man, I was dreading going on LinkedIn at a certain point. I'm like, shoot, I have to respond to all these comments. So, you know, I had to look within and say, okay, this is something that if I want to continue doing LinkedIn, I have to make a choice. And I had to stop responding to comments. And I'll still, like I said, somebody comments something insightful, I might DM them, as opposed to responding to, 50, 70, 100 comments. But it was something I had to make a choice with my time. Because, I don't have an hour every morning to respond to comments on LinkedIn. And then if I'm responding to my own comments, I'm not supporting my friends on LinkedIn, which I'd rather support my friends than respond to my own comments. I don't know if that's wrong, but that's my logic. Personally. So yeah, I think
cool.
When it comes to morning routines, you also have to realize you have a limited amount of time in the morning, and you have to, allocate that time, as Kevin said, to kind of self-care and making sure that you don't throw your morning off with something that's gonna, derail your whole day. So, but yeah, I think that's really what it's all about. It's just making sure that your morning doesn't cause an entire day of you stressing out and being upset and things like that. And what I found too is, since becoming an entrepreneur, my morning routine is not as critical as when I was working for other people, because when you're working for other people, you have that morning drive, and when you go in, you can get hit with 20 things first thing in the morning. And if you already started your day off wrong, then your day's really going to go off the rails. But as an entrepreneur, sometimes you can take 10 minutes of quiet time and say, okay, let me refocus, let me get my mind right and get the day started. But in my old roles, when I was running dealerships, there was no 10 minutes to decompress. It was just like a constant circle of my day. And if my morning started off wrong, by 3 p.m., my head was ready to explode. So I think that's why mornings are so critical.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we're all probably on the same page with that. And I think the main thread is that we are setting up our day to be responsive and not reactive. And so when we're reactive, that's when, oh, shoot, I better answer this email, I better answer this message, I better do this, I better do that. It's their agenda. It's all what everyone else wants and says you should do. And when we focus on what we want and what's best for us and how we want our day to go, and that's how we create our lives the way we want them to be, is by taking those little tiny baby decisions and choosing what's best for us in that moment. And instead of saying, okay, I've got to answer this, or the tire store wants an answer if you want to go ahead with the new tires or whatever. Like, I've got to get back to these people. It's so important. Like, really, it can probably wait an hour. And I actually heard, I think today somebody was saying, like, don't turn your phone on for the first hour of the day. I mean, maybe that works for you, maybe it doesn't. But ideally, it's a choice to turn the phone on. It's not a reaction. Like, oh, I woke up, I turned it on. I mean, it's all habit, and it's all addiction anyway with the phones. We all know that. But if you can put in a new addiction or a new habit that might help you, just kind of get grounded first and be prepared for those next choices that you're going to be making. And I loved what Aldric said about having those like Post-it notes. So just take one thing at a time. And I often coach, people who come to me they're suffering from overwhelm. I mean, at the end of the day, that's like really what's going on is there's just too many hats to wear in their business. And maybe they don't know how to delegate, or they just can't yet, or whatever the situation is. And it's a lot of that struggle of work-life balance, all of those things. So I often suggest that you take those Post-it notes and find a spot on your calendar. Like if you use Google Calendar or whatever, find a place in your calendar where, okay, I'm going to take care of this at this time. I'm going to take care of this one at this time. And put them all in your calendar. So now you have time to work on it. I also usually recommend like a big brain dump where you take everything in your head and all of those things you're writing on a Post-it, put them all on maybe even a big poster or like in your notebook, whatever it is, a whiteboard, something, and then just pull out 2 at a time. Like, what are the top priorities? The trick with that is not just going for the 2 easiest things to do, right? So if it's like, put socks in the sock drawer and take the trash out versus this big, huge project, you might want to break the project down into smaller bite-sized pieces and then put that on your calendar. There's other ways to do it, and I won't, bore you with all the details, but that might help kind of find a place for those Post-its instead of, a stack of Post-its, which actually might work for you. So again, like, do what works for you, but I think this is all people who are entrepreneurs and looking to be more productive, have better performance in their business. Those are all the struggles that people come to me with. There's usually some problem under the problem going on, some other things going on, but those are the main reasons people come to see me is they're not happy with their performance or their productivity, or they procrastinate too much or things like that. And believe me, I mean, I deal with those things too, so I get it. I've just kind of learned some techniques and ideas to help get over those things a little bit faster.
Yeah, I think I like what you said, Candice. When it comes to life, I think life is all about choices.
Definitely.
So we choose
our
outcome, right? We always have a choice, right? Regardless, only if you have a gun to your head, right?
How you empower yourself and how you remember to be empowered is and to stand in your power, however you want to look at that. And that's all, coachy jargon, but it means I can make a choice at any time. I mean, yeah, there might be a gun pointed to my head. We won't go down that road, but there might be something extreme going on. There might be some circumstances that I cannot handle. So COVID sucks. I mean, we don't need to go down that road either, but it's terrible. We're all over it. We're all want to get back to whatever, the new normal, the new now, whatever you want to call it. But I can choose how I respond to that. I can sit around and cry about it all day, or I can move on with my life and my business. And I think people are putting off a lot of decisions because of these circumstances. And the truth of the matter is, it's been 6 months, guys. Like, you can't put off these decisions any longer. You can't put off your business. I mean, I love that you guys started this whole program right after it was announced that, we're in a lockdown. So, I mean, there are things you can jump and do and pivot, and there are some things you can't, but you can choose and you can make that decision now. And you can choose to get help to get through it, or you can limp along, whatever works for you. It's like, you've got to do something. You can't just sit around and say, oh, this is going on still. Like, that's going to be a while. So.
Because I think human nature, we're prone to make excuses for ourselves, start feeling sorry for ourselves. And I think it's so key. And I think that's why mornings are so important, because it's the beginning of your day. And you choose the attitude that you have for the rest of the day. right? And with our choices, it leads to the word discipline. And that's where it arises, right? That's why children go to school, and a lot of people go, oh, especially some of the younger folks, right? Some of them are like, oh, we don't need school today, especially my son, right? He's 6, Why do I have to go to school? I know more than the teacher. He told me that the other day. He goes, I'm smarter than her. And I go, no, you aren't. That's not why you go to school, dude. It's the whole idea of discipline. Getting in your seat, turn on the computer at 8 and sitting still, And school's not just about learning. It's about discipline. And even I found, like when I went to, university, right? There's a mix of, okay, why do we need colleges today? Or you got all this online stuff, right? But then I look at it. I've learned a lot while I was in college. I was balancing having fun, going out, and then now I got to wake up 7 a.m. and go take my tests.
Yeah.
And if I don't show up and I don't take it, my parents going to be mad at me because they just spent thousands of dollars on my education. And it's like, where were you, dude? And it becomes very real when you start getting your big boy job.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's different when you're an influencer on Instagram or social media. But if you're working for someone, there are requirements as much as we might want to go, oh, it's whatever. I don't like it. I go make the choice to just walk away, quit. There are realities. You can do that so many times. And then within the industry, I don't care where you are globally, word gets around. Like I'm in the digital marketing world. 90% of the marketers on LinkedIn know me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put a good word in for you, And so there is the reality of life. And even me, right? I look at it every day. What happens if one day I'm very positive, right? But what if I have to go get a job and then I don't have the opportunity to go work for myself? What am I putting out on social media? What kind of message I'm choosing to put out there? The eyes are watching. And one day I might have to ask Aldric for a job, Timothy, who knows, Candice,
You don't want to work for me.
So you don't know, right? So that's just kind of, I think it's so important to understand that routines, habits that you create for yourself, it goes with you for the rest of your life, and that's why there's old people that still do the same thing, right? Yeah. You start creating routines. That's why it's so hard for people to just retire because now their routines change. And so the habits you develop when you're young, I still catch myself doing certain things that I did while I was in college, now, that's where habits come in. So it leads to kind of my next question, which is not on the bottom, but why is it so, how do you break habits that are bad?
Oh,
that's a great question.
Yep. So personal, how have you broken your own bad habits? Yep.
I can start if you want me to.
Go ahead.
Order. Sorry, Jeremy.
Go ahead. I have no idea how to answer this.
My best advice for that is to replace it with a different habit and one that you really, really like, or at least sort of like maybe it's not as good as the habit. So for example, and I'm not talking about addiction, so that might be a separate, deeper issue.
That's an episode by itself.
Yeah,
for a month.
But I used to come home from work when I worked in corporate, and I'd go straight to the cupboard, like, hi kids, and go straight to the cupboard and get the wine glass and pour the glass of wine and drink the wine. And
that's a good habit. That's a good habit.
Some people would argue that's a good habit. Some people would argue that's not the worst thing in the world. But I started to think, you know what? every night, really, that's kind of a lot. Maybe I should cut back. And I'm sure at the time I'm always like trying to be more healthy and lose weight and do all those things. And so I'm sure I was like, this isn't helping. So I started like, what else can I do? Yeah, Kelsey, first you have to recognize you're doing them. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So that was sort of something I recognized. I'm like, okay, this has become a habit. I just do this unconsciously. I don't even think about it. What else could I do? And so for me, it just helped. I think it was winter or fall, because I mean, you wouldn't really do this in the summer, but I thought, what's another drink I could have that is a little bit of a ritual? So I would make tea instead. And you can't, if you go grab like a glass of milk, you're probably not going to be as excited about it, but making a cup of tea is like a little bit of a ritual there and a little bit of a process. So having that other habit in place really helped me just come home and start like do a different thing. The other idea is when you're building a habit or maybe putting in a new habit, which can, again, replace bad habits, to put it with something that you're already doing. So if you already wake up, like that's kind of how I got really good at my morning routine was I would wake up and I always would go downstairs and make coffee first. Technically that was my routine, but I wanted to add in these other things. And so I did it where I had my coffee and I would go sit on the couch and do the gratitude journal, with my dog or whatever. So instead of just having coffee and going off and doing whatever, I would, or scroll Facebook for an hour on the couch, drinking my coffee. I would sit down and intentionally go into my routine. So I think adding it to something you already know, like there's no way I'm not going to make coffee. So I can add anything to that and it'll become part of my routine and part of my habits.
That's good.
Okay, I can go next now. My answer is what Abby said. Really good, really good answers, right? Yeah. Intentional change, if I could remember properly, intentional change, substituting, right? And then, substitution, accountability, rewards. Exactly, awesome. But I love back what Kelsey said. You have to recognize it, right? I like that. I like the example that you brought, Candice, on drinks, because I think I've quit Coca-Cola for maybe 3 years now. 2, I can't remember.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it's just intentional. I told myself I'm drinking too much of this. It's way too much sugar. Yeah. I was doing like a can a day, sometimes 2 cans a day.
I was hoping they'll sponsor our show, Jeremy. Dang it.
Intentional change. I can always swap back. I can always swap back, right? So I decided not to take it anymore, but I needed substitution because I still need like sugar. So I go for probably, at least I would like to think, less sugared drink than Coke. I never really compare how many cubes of sugar each is, but I think it's lesser. So feels better on my conscience. But I think the key really is you need to recognize what are the bad habits, or at least to you, that you want to change. I think that's really important. For many years now, I've realized that, let's talk about mornings, right? Sleeping early in the morning and waking up in the same morning with just a couple hours of sleep, it's a bad habit. I can't say I'm trying to kick that, but it's hard. I've not been successful. I just want to stay up.
Jeremy, you took the first step tonight. You recognized it.
No, trust me. I took way more steps than earlier than today, because I've set an alarm clock on my mobile phone that goes off every night at 12. But I just switch it off and continue to do what I do. So it's not helping. It is not helping. And it's funny because recently I saw this kind of meme thing like going on Facebook, and they finally have a name for that, right? It's called revenge procrastination of sleep. Okay? I'll repeat that again. Revenge procrastination of sleep. It's when you have so little time of yourself, you procrastinate sleep to do the things you want to do. And then I saw so many people sharing it and say, "Oh, that's me. Oh, that's me." And I realized that I'm not alone. But that doesn't change the fact that I recognize the habit. I'm trying to change it, but it's challenging. It's challenging.
Maybe, yeah.
Sorry.
Some accountability partners to help you to check in with, I'm going to bed now, or, you know.
Accountability. Tim, Kevin, you guys interested to send me a text? Hey, go to bed at 12 my time.
No,
I'll leave that for your wife.
My wife.
You wouldn't want to receive a text from me at 12 midnight because I'll probably just ask you
right.
to continue working.
Aldric will get you in shape.
No, Aldric will ask me to post another 10 articles, and I'll tell him, okay, I'm going to bed now. And then that could be the accountability. That could work. That could work.
All right, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to sleep, and then I go to sleep. Yeah, that could work. My wife's not going to be able to accountable because she goes to bed earlier because she wakes up earlier, and she needs a lot more sleep than me. So I think. So I think those are good, really good points. Rewards part, I don't think that's one thing. I mean, you might want to reward yourself. You know, I think that could be good for those that work. But I think for me, the reward itself is in changing that bad habit that you've identified. So I think, but still that's a good answer still. So I don't know. I'll work on my sleep.
I think the reward is in the next morning you feel better, and then you recognize.
Actually, I do.
You're like, gosh, I actually feel really good. That's a reward, right, in itself. It doesn't have to be like you bought yourself something.
Yeah, that's the thing. I know I do feel better, and I work function much better throughout the day. I'm more patient. I'm not so irritable. But I just still fall back on the fact that, I want time for myself. I want to watch this movie. I want to do this, do that. I want to play that video game, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I think I'm getting better at it now because sometimes when I watch a movie in my desk on my computer and I'm like I'm falling asleep, and I tell myself, I'm not getting any pleasure finishing the movie. So I should go to sleep now because I'm falling asleep anyway, right? So I'm getting there. I'll take some time, but yeah, I acknowledge and recognize the problem.
I think you have a good point there, Jeremy. I think for a lot of professionals, and our audience can probably relate too, because we're as adults, you have so much responsibilities during the day, and especially when you have kids, right? So even though you're off, you're not really off if you have children, right? Because they are demanding, they have needs. So a lot of time, even for myself, I catch myself having a very hard time going to bed early because I feel, okay, now finally the world doesn't need me, right? And okay, my kids are asleep, my staff is asleep, clients are not probably going to contact me now, and now it's like, what can I do now? And you feel like time is your most valuable commodity, and every day is. And we're only getting older, right?
Exactly.
So, and you're like, I'm losing this time. So going to bed seemed like kind of like a waste of time, especially I think to high achievers, because you feel like, okay, I need all this time. Sleeping is a necessity. We all need it. But at the same time, we can't put it off because, until we experience a health problem, a lot of us were like, I'm okay. Let's watch that one movie. Let's go, let's stay up a little longer and let's do something I enjoy, right? And it's that nice quiet time. It's nice at 1 a.m. or midnight because the house is quiet. And I totally get you too, Jeremy, because I think maybe it's more a guy thing than even, I'm married. So I think with women, they have the motherly responsibility of, and I think men is kind of like our little escape in the AM. And so, and I mean, it's hard,
It's hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
Thank you.
So I would say, and I'm gonna get really real on this question. So, I wouldn't recommend this for everybody because I know mental health is a big thing, but this is just for me. This is how I break habits. So I'm really hard on myself. And if I have a habit that I dislike, I beat myself up about it. And I kind of shame myself and I'm like, all right, this needs to change. But it works. Now, I don't recommend that for everybody because I know for a lot of people, especially with mental health being so prevalent, that won't work for everybody. They'll actually get down and go into a worse state. So I don't recommend that. But the question was, how do you break your habits?
Yeah.
Well, for me, that's how I do it. I'm like, okay, this is unhealthy. This is time consuming. It's unproductive. It needs to change. And once I recognize it, then I can shut it off. But, you know,
Wow.
I have to recognize it. And once it gets to that point, I get really down. I don't get down on myself, but I get upset with myself. I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, you know better. Just stop it. That's it. And then, boom, it's done. But like I said, that's not for everybody. So don't follow my lead on that.
Yeah,
Now I know why we shouldn't work for Tim.
yeah.
I'm much harder on myself than I am on anybody else. I promise you all. My employees, I'm like, nice, but when it comes to something that I did that I screwed up, I'm like, damn it, why did I do that? I get pissed off. So.
Yeah, the thing is, we're all really hard on ourselves, way too hard. And I would say don't do that because it's just going to perpetuate that. But I will agree with you that it works for people. So I know my husband he totally beats himself up. He'll yell at himself and be like, come on, you idiot, get this done or whatever. Like, stop, you know, whatever. Yeah, like he'll talk to himself like that and then he'll get it done. So he feels like that works for him. I mean, I would argue it, but I'm also a big proponent of finding what works for you and going for it. Yeah, there could be some underlying issues we might want to talk about there, Timothy.
Listen, I think truthfully, now this is no bullshit, right? You have to have enough self-esteem to be okay with like knowing you screwed up and acknowledging it and moving on.
Yeah.
And as long as you have that mentality, then you can get past it. And the thing about me is I don't dwell on stuff. So I think that's why it works for me.
That's good.
Because, you know, for some people I know when you dwell on something and you're beating yourself up and you're dwelling on beating yourself up, then that's pure
really
chaos.
Bad.
Yeah, it's pure chaos. Me, like, you know, most things in my life, I'm done within 10 minutes. Like, okay, that was stupid. I hate it. I'm out, you know? And then I'm like, all right, on to the next thing. I guess I just, you know, I try to keep myself so busy. I don't have time to sit there and dwell on shit. Yes, dwell on things that are out of my control.
That's really good.
Yeah, and listen, that took me a long time to learn because when I was younger, I used to dwell on everything. So I think after a while, I just kind of realized, okay, again, unhealthy habit, I have to break it. But it took me a while to learn that.
Cool.
I think it's very interesting that we are all focusing on like unhealthy or the bad stuffs because it's about breaking a habit, right? Good stuff can be very difficult to break too because once you get into the momentum and once the routine sets in, it becomes emotional. Emotions is the one that is the toughest to break. For instance, a cup of coffee in the morning, it could just be a commodity, but it's emotional because we associate productivity from the cup. So that's very difficult to break. The emotions is the one that's very difficult to break.
Profound.
No, not really, because I think about things too. So how do we become more efficient and more productive? If we roll back, it's because we spend a lot of time doing it and therefore we become better. And why do we spend more time with it? It's because we believe in it. That is the thing that's very difficult to break because once your belief is set, you will continue doing it. The good stuff. So productivity, efficiency can be a form of addiction. It could be a good one. It's like when you believe in doing work in the morning and you can go non-stop. I know there are some content writers out there who can write articles after articles, 3 articles back to back in the morning. Now try to break that. For all of us, it's very easy. We don't do it. But for them, it's very difficult. Try telling them, don't write your 3rd article, break that habit. They'll be like, no, I'm in my flow. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So that in itself, how do we break that? Apart from being aware, I think external attributes don't really work. Rewards don't work because it's not deep enough. Emotions is very deep. The moment we have an anchor, that's it. So you can't break that anchor. You have to be very practical in your way of destructing and destroying that in a way. So if you are used to writing 3 articles back to back, and you want to spend more, you want to divert more time to your next business also by not writing a 3rd article because 2 is enough, right? Then you have to have a structural disruption, meaning to say you cannot be working on the next thing at the same desk. You have to uproot. So you have to look at symbols. You have to look at the things that we associate with. Uproot yourself. Don't work at your working desk. Go maybe work at your kitchen desk. Or go out and walk. So you disrupt and destroy that routine in order to build a new one. I think that's the way to go, because emotions is the one that is really a difficult thing. It's really a difficult thing. And once we start associating achievement with the kind of things that we do, it's even tougher. It's like if we associate satisfaction with the bottle of alcohol, then it becomes very difficult not to hold on to that bottle because of the feeling that we associate with that. We can't trust ourselves when it comes to things like that. When you want to break a habit, it has to be very deliberate. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think that all comes down to everything starts with a thought, and that thought goes to an emotion, and then that emotion leads to the action. So whatever thought you're having, and let's call it a bad habit, I want to do this bad thing. What is that emotion you're tying to it? And so how can you switch the thought so that you can then switch the emotion, have a different emotion, and lead to a different action where you don't pick up the bottle or you don't do the bad thing. So it's a really good perspective.
Yeah.
And I like that, because I think when it comes to breaking habits, right, and it's the realization you have a problem, and then I like what Candice just said, because it's figuring out what is the root, right? There's a root to everything. So you eliminate the habit by finding the core and the root of it. And once you figure that out, then it makes the habit a lot easier to break. Mm-hmm. And I think, and what Aldric said, a lot of times even good habits, right, is hard to break because they're emotional ties. So just give you, and it goes kind of along with my post today about success, right? So for the longest time, I was kind of I would say I'm a workaholic. I used to work a lot. So I would go to work and I would work out, but everything's around work, and so I pride myself in how hard I work, and when I had my, when I wasn't working remote from home, I would wake up, drive an hour, go to work, and then the rest of the day is dedicated. I'm in the zone, so I'm working on building my company. And when I was working for people, I was building like, hey, how can I move up? How can I complete this task, this project? And my mind is always going. And then I catch myself, even when I'm with family and friends, I'm never actually present. Because in the back of my head, I'm always thinking about, okay, the next project I'm pushing, the next new hire. What am I going to do next? Do that. And it came to realization, as like Aldric said, there's an emotional tie, because, I grew up in a family where I wanted to prove myself, because my parents were never had college degree. I was first in my family. We're immigrants. And my dad is probably the poorest out of all his brothers and sisters. So there's this, I want to be the son, and this might be a little more Asian too, where I wanted to, hey, carry the name of my family and be successful, and, hey, I saw my dad was kind of, he had a hard time, just people looking down on him, throughout his life. And I was like, I don't want that. So then I realized like the root of it has to do with upbringing and the way my thought process was. And I was hard on myself. I wanted to be successful in everything I do. I was super competitive. Then even during COVID, I actually realized when I'm home, I was like, our kids grow up so fast, and I didn't realize how much I was missing, right? Because I'm at work till 7 p.m., you know, and then I come home, drive an hour, and it's dinner time. And I miss all the little things that they're going through, that they're experiencing. And there's nothing that matter more as a dad to me, you know? So, and then I look back, my dad, they were immigrant families and they work at restaurants. So they work all the time. So I never had my parents around because they're just trying to survive. They're entrepreneurs, right? Then my father had cancer in 2007, right? We opened this restaurant bar together. Me and him ran it. And it was within few months, I lost my father and I had to learn the whole restaurant operation and everything. And I look back and I was like, we live and die working so hard to accomplish what we feel is success and what the world tells us is success, right? And I realized, man, I'm repeating history. I'm trying to accomplish something. Honestly, who cares if you're an influencer or not? It's LinkedIn, for God's sake, people. It's Instagram. Come on. But when you lose that time with your kids, no money, nothing can go back to that. And they're going to come back and look at you and they might not, dad wasn't there, right? And what your kids want isn't your ability to buy the next Xbox or to put them through college. What they want is that moment and that time. And I started seeing it for myself. And it can be really simple stuff. It can be just a hug. You know, there are very poor people monetarily that have happiness.
Yeah, rich.
I saw it when I went to Cambodia. And when I went there during last year, some of the poorest people were the happiest people. And it challenged me when I came back home. And then when COVID happened, it really hit me hard. I was like, I'm missing out on my kids. And they, like, blink of an eye, your kids grow up. And what they need is just your attention, not scrolling through the phone. They don't care if you're successful or not. They want your love. And I was like, and that's how you leave a legacy. Like, in the back of my head, I used to be like, okay, I need to leave my kids a legacy because my dad didn't leave me with anything. So I need to build financially. I need to do that, which are all great things, right? You know, that's why life insurance is killing it, right? Because people want to leave something for their kids. But something you can really leave is your love, you know, your attention, you know, because I can't go back to spending time with my dad, right? And, but I'm smart enough. I can make money myself, right? Same thing. My kids, they're going to be fine. They're going to be able to fend for themselves if I teach them. It's a word that Aldric, I think we talked about last time. You teach a man how to fish, right? Yeah. You don't go leave fish for them. You teach them to fish. So if you spend time with your kids, you can ingrain in them attributes that they can take with them for a lifetime. So stop focusing on just building success or an empire to leave a legacy behind. Your legacy is the attention you give, the love you give. And for me, that's a huge habit I had to break, you know, because I enjoy work. And then now I'm starting to it's like, man, Kevin, why aren't you working? Why aren't you answering us on the weekend? I was like, no, I'm with my kids. I don't want to answer you. That can wait. And it had to be a habit that I had to break and learn. And then proactively over time, I'm getting better at it. And then my wife's happier. You know, my kids are behaving better. And it's the little things. So, and it goes back to what Aldric said. It also goes with the good habits too. Yep.
Can I jump in on this real fast? Because I want to tie
go for it.
Aldric and your thoughts together. And before I say anything else, I have to say, Kevin, that was freaking amazing. I wanted to use a curse word, but I refrained. Dude, I hope a ton of people see what you just said. And, you know, that shit hit me right here. That shit hit me right here. I don't know if anybody else is feeling it, but I am. But pay attention to what Kevin just said. When you guys are watching this episode, rewind that. That was really important, and more people need to hear that. But real quick, because I don't want to tie up too much time, to tie what Aldric just said and what you just said together. So breaking a good habit, right? We think work is a good habit, right? We think, okay, we have a strong work ethic, so we need to work, and it produces money, and that's what we need to do. But no, sometimes it's a habit we need to break, because like you just said, it's actually unhealthy in a lot of ways. You know, the sacrifice you make for work actually shows up somewhere else. You know, we all make sacrifices, and we all have so much time. We have the same circle of time in our days, all of us. And you're going to sacrifice that circle of time somewhere.
Yep.
So when you sacrifice the time from the kids to do the work, yes, you might be well off financially, but as you just said, you're sacrificing quality time with your kids. You're not teaching them things. You're not bonding with them. You're not strengthening that love and that relationship. You're not leaving a legacy behind. So, you know, to Aldric's point, you know, and that's something that I've realized as well. But, you know, I think people need to start looking at passive and residual income sources.
Yep.
As opposed to relying so much on physical work. Because the reality is there are a lot of freaking ways to make money without having to be somewhere away from your children, away from just life. So I think people really need to start looking at that and taking Aldric's advice, which is look at your habits. Hey, it's a good habit. Hey, I think I'm doing really well because I work 18 hours a day and I'm making a shit ton of money. But a lot of stuff in my life is crumbling. But hey, I'm doing well financially, so everything's okay. No, it's really not. And why don't you look at ways to make money for yourself without working 18 hours a day? And maybe you work 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day while you're still making passive and residual income. And it's the same thing, except you have time. You have time. You have the ability to choose what you want to do with your life as opposed to being a slave to your job or your phone or money or anything like that. So I think, you know, what you guys just said is so freaking powerful. And, you know, I really appreciate this conversation.
I think I'll just do a closing on my on this one, especially on what Kevin just mentioned, which we covered quite a bit of grounds. But this is really a story of the aunt that I love very dearly. The entire family thinks that she's very ruthless when it comes to time and when it comes to family relationships. So on the day of her passing, when I was there, so she converted to Christianity at towards the last mile of her life. The pastor was there. The first question was, do you have any guilt? The first question was, do you have any guilt? So her answer was that I feel guilty not spending time with my family. One sentence, just one. Next question, do you have any regrets? That was the one that really caught me, and I trembled and I teared and I cannot control. Her answer was, I have lived a life with no regrets. Zero. So it can be very complex because the first question is, do you have any guilt? Yes, I do towards my family. But do I have any regrets? None. I think when she passed on, it was 55, so it was very young for an Asian. But when I heard her second response, I was like, it's so difficult to do. I'm 37, 8. I already have regrets. Like, I have all these regrets that I have now, and all these regrets, if they are not resolved or worked on, it becomes like some sort of load on my shoulders. It could be emotional or things like that. But to say that I live a life with no regrets and I can just go off and things like that, I think it's something I don't even know if I can do that. I don't even know. So then the thing is, yeah, that's how I think about it. I think we all have our own personal stories, but then it's our pursuit that matters. And as with every decision that we make, we have to understand that there's always something that we can't attend to. That's just my closing.
Yep. So I have one last question before we close for the night, right? To get us back on track on morning routines. So for those that are out there, right, who have a hard time with mornings, what's something you guys have found work for you that you recommend? And maybe Jeremy, you're still trying to discover.
This one's for me, man. This one's for me.
So what are some things that you found that's helped?
I'll go in real quick because mine is easy. Simplify it. That worked for me. Like I said, I don't try to do too much with my mornings because, I think to Aldric's point, to Candice's point, I get my little routine in, and then after that, I might take a piece of paper out and say, okay, I need to do these 10 things. But that's after my morning. That's after my morning has already started, right? Then I'm off to it. So I think for me, my recommendation, simplify it.
That's so good.
If I could contribute to this,
Go ahead.
if I may contribute, I read this somewhere, and it's called "Eat the Frog."
Yeah.
Right? You know, Candice sounds like she knows it. Yeah, eat the frog, right? So yeah, if you like what Tim said, the whole list, right? Pick the one that's toughest that you want to avoid, and go on it head on. Deal with that one. I can't do it in practice. It's just in theory. In theory, I think, oh, that's cool. That could work. Yeah, but I have not actually tried it. But I think I like the theory and concept. But I think, yeah, hopefully that could help, especially when you have a whole long list of things. And usually as humans, we try to avoid the one that is toughest. We go for simple wins, right? But this is like counter, reverse psychology. Go for the big one, go for the kill, go for the most important and toughest one that you want to run away. Try to work on that. And I think that could help in terms of building the satisfaction throughout the whole day. Because if you conquer that, everything else is just, chicken feed, right? So I think that's my little piece of advice, which am not credible with, but I'll throw it out there.
It's true. It's true. When you finish a big task, you do kind of feel like King Kong a little bit. You're like, yeah, and then then you move on. You're like, all right, what's next? So it does work. It actually does work.
Cool.
For me, if so just as an advice, if you're having a hard time just getting your morning started, then I would say that you look at the task that you're doing. You don't go on a linear narrative in terms of the easy ones first to the most difficult, or the most difficult one, and then you go all the way down. Don't do that. Do a sandwich. So you start off with the very simple task first. You build your emotions, the feel-good emotions. The very simple task, just do and tell yourself, oh, okay, great, I can finish 1, 2, 3, great. And then once you feel good, you tackle the tough ones. When you feel good, you tackle the tough ones. When you're done, don't stop there. Before you take a break on this segment, you tone down to the easy ones. And then I like to leave a little tail end to the last task that I attend to, and I don't complete it. I will do until the 50% mark, then I'll pause. I'll go off, and when I come back, I will settle into the rhythm immediately based on that task. So I don't start from zero. I don't even think anymore. I just do. So then
that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So it's like I built a sandwich. That's how I think about it.
Dude, Aldric is bringing the heat tonight. Bringing the heat.
I haven't had my breakfast. Okay.
So what you're saying is, you take the roller coaster all the way up to the top, and you pause, so that when you come back in, woo, you go all the way down and ride on the high.
Emotions. Working.
Go on.
Riding on the emotional wave. I think it works.
Go on.
That's awesome. You, Candice?
Yeah, so I would recommend, tactically speaking, there are a lot of little ideas. And, like putting your phone in the bathroom and setting the alarm. So you have to jump up to turn it off and then Once you're out of bed, like, you know, there's the Mel Robbins, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and make yourself jump out of bed like a rocket and don't get back, you know. So practically, there's some things like that. I would really encourage whoever is thinking about starting a routine, like you have that thought, maybe I should have a morning routine. Ask yourself why, and ask yourself what the intention is. Why do you want to do that? Does it make sense to you? Do you just like the idea of it? Do you want to have more quiet space? You know, when you do something like this, it is about discipline. And you were talking about that earlier. I think that's a huge piece of this, is that when you do something that requires discipline, it builds confidence. And everybody needs confidence. And we're all like, how do we get it? This is a really good way to get confidence. When you show yourself you can do hard things, you can make yourself do it over and over again and not give up and start to see some results from it. And maybe there will be results from it. You know, when I started doing my gratitude journal 4 or 5 years ago, yeah, I was like, oh, Oprah talked about this. I don't know if this even works, but I'm going to do it. And I started to feel so much better about my day. Like I wouldn't rush to find the bad in things. I was starting to recognize all the good in things because I couldn't wait to put that on my list. You know, oh, there's like, I got a green light. Yay, I can put that on my list tomorrow or whatever. Like, you start to look for good. And when you look for something, you'll find it. So stop looking for the bad in things and start looking for the good, right? So having that, and then also like, some of the results that you get from the morning routine, confidence, but also when people come to me with overwhelm, this is a way to clear your head of some stress and just start to create a little bit of white space, whether you're meditating or having a moment to sit quietly or prayer or whatever you want to do. That's creating a little bit of white space in your head and lessening that stress, lessening that overwhelm. And then finally, kind of having time to journal or think or write or whatever you're doing in that morning. Maybe it's just sitting and having your coffee. You're starting to raise your self-awareness and really think about what is important to you. What do you want in your life? Not just what does my mom want me to do, or my dad, or my husband, or whoever, my kids. It's all about them all the time. Like, this is some time for self-reflection and to think about how you want to show up in the world. So I would recommend you really get clear on why you're doing this and why you're creating it and what you want out of it, and then cater that to fit those needs.
That's so good.
I love that.
Great point.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think having a routine, anything, right, that requires discipline, is setting realistic goals too, because you know yourself, so don't set yourself for failure. I work with some guys in my company that are, they're younger, and they have a hard time waking up, and I go, well, what are you doing that night?
Hard time waking up.
What are you doing that night? Well, playing video games or whatever. And I'm like, those things you can set aside, right? If you are editing videos real late at night, then you're setting yourself up for failure in the morning. So then you got to go to bed earlier, And I think that goes for all of us. It's setting realistic goals. It's all about what you want, right? If you want it bad enough, I always tell people when people make the excuse, oh, I don't have time or whatever. Well, it's because you really don't want to do it, right? If you really want to do something, you're going to make time, right?
Totally.
So that's just the truth, when you're in love with a boy or girl, you make time to go see that person. You don't go, I'm really attracted to her. Oh, I don't have time. For guys, we make time, and we magically all of a sudden have all this time that we didn't have before. And I think it's the same thing with morning routines. If you set your mind, I really want to do it, it just happens. And I was the same way. So in college, I manage a gym, and part of the job was if I had to manage the gym, I got paid better, but I had to wake up at 5 a.m. So that was before I would go to class at 8. And I was like, that sucks. How am I going to do this? So Monday through Friday, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. while I was in college,
Wow.
But then it paid good, and I liked the idea of the title of managing the gym. It was a cool job, So I had to change. Everyone else was going out. I was like, nope, I gotta go to bed at 10, And then I did the thing where like I would go 1, 2, 3. I'm Superman. I'm gonna wake up, and then I would just get myself out of bed, do a cold shower, and it's amazing when you start doing things like that.
Yeah.
Little by little, you start developing habits, and all of a sudden, after about a month, right, it just becomes part of you. You start wanting to go to bed early. You start just naturally waking up early. We're humans. It's no different than a dog or anything. You train it, right? We can train our bodies to do amazing things, and we can train our minds to be able to do amazing things. It all starts here. So it's like, I think we all agree, if we captivate what we're thinking, you know, we can make things happen. So it was a great evening, and I appreciate everyone that hopped on, and especially Candice. Thanks for all the insight. So before we leave tonight, can you tell people how they can sign up for, if they need coaching or anything like that, how they can find you?
For sure. And I actually have a morning routine video on my website you can sign up for. To kind of walk you through this process a little bit. So my website is kingstoncoaching.com. And yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me there. You can sign up for coaching calls there. And you can always, DM me on LinkedIn. I'd love to chat. And yeah, I offer a complimentary call. So even if you're not sure what coaching even is or how that would help you, it's a good way to just chat and kind of uncover where this could take you, what could this do for you, what are the benefits, learn more about it, and just sort of explore that option. And if it's not a good fit, hey, we'll be friends and we'll be on LinkedIn together and whatever. And if it is a good option, we can talk about what that would look like. So I'd love to chat with you. Yeah,
and we look forward to having everyone be back next Wednesday. It's going to be same time for episode 29, and we go talk numbers. And we got Jacqueline. I call her Jacqueline Numeric. So she's going to be our guest. So hope you can all join us. And thank you so much, everyone. And it was a fun episode. So now we got, for Aldric and Jeremy, you guys are already up. But for us, we got to get up in the morning.
Get up tomorrow. All right.
Later. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Candice. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Candice. Bye, guys.